Welcome to the Corel tutorial on creating advanced titles in VideoStudio. We will add advanced effects from scratch to a very basic title, edit effects already applied to a title template, then animate a title along a path. Before we begin, I recommend viewing the Creating Basic Titles tutorial as a prerequisite or even as a refresher. That one will explain how we got to the starting point of this tutorial. Not required, but definitely suggested. Or, if you wish, pause the video now and go to learn.corel.com to download the smart package of files and the written tutorial to follow along. Basic titling includes simple placement and text formatting, as well as taking advantage of dozens of free included templates. Advanced titling, although just slightly more involved, can add superior effects and quality to your project. Let me show you how. Open your basic title VideoStudio project, your .vsp file, or follow along on this one. If you're starting with this advanced tutorial instead of the basic one, you will need at least one video clip or several still pictures as content to overlay your titles onto. Titles cannot be created without content already in your video or overlay track. Let's get started. Open VideoStudio into the Edit tab. As you can see, I've opened up the finished video I created for basic titles. I have also created a new folder by choosing the Add button at the top here. Then I dropped in some images to use as backgrounds for my titles. You can, of course, place titles onto videos, but this allows me to line things up a bit easier. I've placed 3 images into the video track of the timeline. Notice they automatically start at the beginning and drop in sequentially after that. VideoStudio does not allow for any blank spaces on your video tracks. By double-clicking on each image in the timeline, I use the Options panel to make the duration of each 5 seconds. You can also manually drag out each one in the timeline. Let's edit the titles by adding and/or changing the existing effects, starting with the first one. Double-click on the first title in the timeline to bring up the Options panel again. In the Basics tutorial, we spent most of our time here. For the Advanced tutorial, we'll move over to the Attributes tab. Animation is usually the default selection, but it won't engage until you click Apply. Click Apply to display dozens of choices listed in several categories. From the drop-down list, select the Swing category. Again, making sure the first title is selected by double-clicking it on the timeline, simply select the first choice in the second row. No need to drop it on the title itself. To preview it, click Project in the preview window, rewind, and play through this part. Let's go back to the Attribute tab. I want to point out the blue line in the preview window. This denotes where the title gets paused in the animation sequence. In other words, after it stops animating in and before it departs the screen. To create a faster or shorter in and out animation, simply use your mouse to adjust it in the preview window like this. Or use the Effects attributes accessed by double-clicking the double T here. I'll make the animation last a little longer by choosing Intermediate from the Pause drop-down. You can see the other options available as well. Let's preview it again. See how easy that was? Let's now add a filter from the right side of the Attribute window. Be sure the first title is double-clicked to select it in the Attribute tab. Then click the Filter Radio button. The Title Effects gallery should display on the left. Drag and drop the Vignette effect right onto the title in the timeline. Then do the same thing to the Wind effect. Yes, you can actually stack multiple effects onto a title. Let's now look at how to customize the effects we just applied. Select the Vignette effect in the Attribute panel. It will turn blue. Then click the Customize Filter icon. This displays a before window on the left and an after window on the right and a timeline of the effect below. In the timeline are 2 small diamonds, in this case one at the start and the other at the end. These are keyframes that represent start and end of a sequence of effects. Keyframes are where things start, change, and end. You can add additional keyframes, then change the effect. In this case, you can change the settings of the softness of the vignette at any point, where the setting can reverse direction, speed, and/or intensity. Although you can't keyframe these attributes, you can also change the shape of the vignette and the background color, but they will change throughout the effect. Let's see what the wind effect has to offer. Click to highlight the wind effect and click Customize Filter. As I click play, we can see the level of the wind effect increases slightly over time. To make some changes, I will place the playback head at the halfway point on the timeline. Then I'll click the Add Keyframe icon on the far left. Where I added the keyframe, I can change the wind strength. I will turn it all the way up. I'll then go to the final keyframe and crank it up again. This will have the effect of the wind increasing quickly to its maximum at the midpoint and staying that way all the way to the end. When I preview this, watch how the level slider changes. There are some other changes you can make, such as direction and mode, but I'll let you try those out on your own. Click OK to return to the main window and preview it again. Let's jump to the next title and take a look. Let's preview it first. Double-click on the second title in the timeline to open the options area. In the Edit tab, you can see that the title, which came from one of VideoStudio's templates, uses the second animation in the first row. Click on the double T icon to customize it. Change it to Enter from the top and Exit to the bottom. Click OK and preview it. Easy, huh? Click the Filter Radio button. Currently, there are no filters attached to this effect. Drag and drop the mirror title effect right onto the second title in the timeline. If you like, click Customize Filter and see what changes you can make. Try a few, preview them, and click OK when you're done. Let's preview these new adjustments. Did you know that you can save any titles and customizations you create for future use? Click the second title once to highlight it. Under the Titles gallery, choose the My Favorites drop-down and click the Add icon, the one with a star on it. That's all there is to it. Alright, one last title effect I'd like to quickly show is adding an animated path onto a title. Click the third and last title once in the timeline. Click play to preview what it currently looks like. And this time open the path library. Drag and drop the rotating star path, the one labeled P03, onto the title in the timeline and preview it. Do the same thing to the path labeled P06, the rather diamond-shaped one, and preview that. You'll notice a couple things. First, any newly added path will replace a previous one, along with any animations previously added, including those from templates. Second, any title effects will still remain. So that's a pretty good preview of the possibilities of title effects. There are still many other effects and customizations you can add to titles in VideoStudio. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll find a link in the description below that will take you to our tutorial page on the Discovery Center. Here you can download a written copy of this tutorial to follow along at your own pace and find many other helpful tutorials for Corel VideoStudio Pro.